Hey guitar players, this is Ari Koinuma, and today I wanted to follow up on a video that I made 4 years ago about my Cubital Tunnel Syndrome, which is an elbow problem that I developed playing my guitar. And that I experienced the symptoms for a good several months that year, but since then I've been able to reverse the symptom without medical treatment or surgery, and I've been able to keep it at bay. Although there are still some times when I feel just the weird things, sensations here and there in my elbow. So there are things that I learned about the condition and things I do that's worked in terms of keeping it at bay and preventing relapse. So I wanted to share with you what I know so that you can gain something useful out of it. Alright, the first thing first, the definition of cubital tunnel syndrome, as I understand it, is that cubital tunnel is this area in your elbow where there's the funny bone, and then there's a nerve called the ulnar nerve that runs from your neck and then down through the cubital tunnel, the funny bone area, and then down to your pinky and to your ring finger. And when you play the guitar with your elbows bent and with your wrist bent like this and do demanding things with your ring and pinky fingers, then the nerve gets rubbed against the bone and it gets inflamed. The first thing that you want to understand about this joint condition, I believe this is also the case with the carpal tunnel syndrome, which is with the thumb and the wrist area, but what's common about these guitar playing injuries is that the fundamental root cause of these problems is that we're asking the hands to do, or our arm to do something that it doesn't have the proper strength to do it. Like, playing and fretting one time with these fingers is not much strain on our hand, but when you do these motions repeatedly with the joints bent, that's where it's like a repetitive motion injury, right? It's just the body doesn't have the appropriate strength, muscle strength, to sort of sustain that motion. So then it provides strains, or it strains the nerves, and then these conditions can occur. So the first thing first is that when it hurts, you have to stop playing, because it's not gonna get better by continuing to strain the joint and the nerve and the muscles. You have to wait for the inflammation to subside or to heal itself, so that you can then move on to strengthening the area and to prevent the relapse. So to that end, in terms of healing or recovering from the condition, in the last video I said that I was taking ginger capsules, which has anti-inflammatory properties, and that since then I've learned that the other non-chemical herbs have anti-inflammatory qualities. So a couple of them that I want to talk to you about today is this one is turmeric. This is from Gaia Herbs, and that the nice thing about this one is that it also contains black pepper, which in itself has anti-inflammatory qualities, I understand, but to get taken together, it helps our digestive system process the turmeric, which is very strong root vegetable, more properly, so that it's easier to absorb. So this is something that I have been taking instead of ginger these days, and not just my I haven't had elbow issues in a long time, but I also have like a lower back pains, and anytime when you have that kind of a joint nerve type inflammation issues, I usually turn to this as the first line of defense. Another thing that you can try if that doesn't work is cayenne pepper. This is from Dr. Chuchis, and that we are a big fan of his products because it's very, very potent, and that this is a highly concentrated, it's the kind of stuff that's really dangerous if it gets on your skin, but just a really potent distillation of cayenne pepper, and it's in liquid form. So what I do is I get a empty capsule, and then I just drop a few drops, or several dozen drops into the capsule, and then take it, so I don't have to taste it, and that I can go straight to the digestive system, bypassing your mouth and the throat and stuff like that, where you really don't want this stuff touching because it can be very, very uncomfortable. Anyway, these are very potent herbs, so you want to be careful in terms of how much you take them. Especially with Dr. Shuchi's, his dosage prescription is, in my experience, quite extreme. So you want to start with like a fraction of what he says to take, and if it doesn't upset your system, then maybe gradually increase the dose. But cayenne also has good effects in terms of increasing your blood circulation and raising your body temperature and stuff like that, and these are all positive things that can contribute to the healing of your body once you develop the symptom. Alright, the other thing that I would do is every time you play, before and after ideally, but particularly before, you just want to massage your forearm, and not just the hand, but just the whole forearm area, and just make sure that your blood is flowing all the way to the end, and just touching each digit and just gently rubbing it really makes a difference in terms of warming up your hand and stuff like that. And this is something that I try to do as often as I can. I'm not always as diligent as I should be, but it really is helpful when I do this before I start playing. And that if you are suffering from the symptom, that's something that you want to try as often as you can. In addition to taking special herbs and stuff like that, if you are suffering from the condition right now, I think that the basics of just taking care of your body applies to accelerating the healing process, which is things like make sure you're hydrated, make sure your body is warm, and you get enough sleep, and that you eat good food. And that in the last video I mentioned this, but I'll mention it again. I like these long forearm gloves, and this was the first year in which even during the winter I didn't feel the need to wear this, but until then I wore this every winter, that covered all the way from my elbow to my hand. I still wear sort of fingerless gloves during the winter because my hand gets so cold. But these injuries come partially, I believe, from not having proper circulation to supply the energy that your body parts need. So again, that increases the strain on your body parts. So that's something else that you want to keep in mind if you're suffering, especially if you're suffering from the condition right now. Alright, so once you've recovered from the sort of the direct symptom, at least for the most part, it's a kind of thing where it may come and go, but if you're starting to feel the most severe symptoms subside, then you can turn your attention to strengthening your body so that you're not straining the joints and nerves to do all these moves. So to that end, last time I also recommended this hand master that you can buy from Amazon. This is the medium strength. I graduated from the light strength to medium, and that there was a question about how to use it properly for strengthening the areas that is contributing to arm and or wrist and elbow problems. And that what's worked for me is that it's not these tools. It's often you think it's this gripping strength that gets highlighted most, but in my experience what counts more is this spreading finger motion. And that when especially with the ring and pinky fingers, if your forearm muscle is not properly developed, doing this and then moving your fingers around is very difficult. So by spreading your fingers this way, you can train those muscles. If you do it a few times, you start feeling the burning sensation down here where the muscles are. And I actually find that when you're training this, it's helpful to do it if you can. That is, when you are starting out, if you've never done this before, you might need to get the light tension one, and you want to do it with sort of straight arm. But if you get more advanced, you want to simulate the guitar playing position by bending your elbow and bending your wrist, and then try doing this. And in particular, I like it when I do the isometric training, where I just keep the fingers spread like this for a good number of seconds, and that I find this is much harder to do than doing this, or doing it with your arm straight. So that's another way in which you can effectively strengthen the muscles required to do demanding guitar playing. So in line with the idea of developing your body strength to do the moves that you want to make, once you get on the guitar, I do these exercises to sort of focus on the motion of, or dexterity, I would say, of the pinky and the ring fingers. A kind of phrase like this. So again, the repeating motion between the pinky and the ring finger really helps to sort of warm up those two digits and get you the strength you need to use those fingers. Another lick that I like to incorporate sometimes is, I'll back out so you can see higher up the neck, but if you, again, the hard motion is when your fingers are outstretched like this and then trying to do this. So I might go up to 12th fret and go something like. So my ring and pinky have a slight stretch between the 15th and 17th fret. And then again, after doing this for a while, you might develop, the burning sensation in your muscles. You want to be as relaxed as possible when you're doing this. But when you don't have the sufficient muscle to repeat those moves over and over, you will start getting tired. And then that's when you don't feel relaxed anymore, and then you're contorting your body, or you're forcing your body to do something that it doesn't have the sufficient strength to do. So that's what you want to watch out for. This is something that I won't do a lot at the beginning of the practice session. Ideally, I would save it at the end, or if I know I'm not going to do extensive playing and I just want to do some exercises to strengthen my fingers, that's when I do it, because I don't want to get my arm overly fatigued at the beginning of playing session. So those are just moves purely suggested for strengthening your hand strength, and that it's not necessarily a musical training, but it's something that you can incorporate into your practice routines to make sure that you don't have a relapse of the condition. So as far as the ideal sequence for daily practice or strengthening routine to make sure that you are strengthening your body to prevent relapse is, I would start out by massaging my hand and my forearm so that these body parts can get properly warmed up before I start playing. And then when I start playing, I would focus on my ring and pinky fingers, and that start playing relaxed and slowly, so that I let the body warm up before I start doing more demanding stuff. When my arm or hand feels tired, I would stop, and then I might wrap it up with the handmaster exercise at the end, so that you can give the muscles the challenge that it needs, and then afterwards you can rest it to give it time to recover. Alright, so I'll wrap up this session by mentioning one last thing, which is more about soft skills or mental aspects of our game. And that is that I really do believe that these conditions developed because there is some kind of internal block, mental block that you have that is contributing to the creation of these conditions. So let's just think about what this means for a second, and that is that you want to do something, and it requires your body to do them, and your body gets in the way because it's just not strong enough to do that. So I encourage you to sit down, reflect upon what might be a belief or thought that you have that can contribute to, or that can create that situation of wanting to do something but unable to do so. In my own case, for example, I realized that I had believed that playing guitar or playing rock guitar is a childish thing that I should really grow out of, and I can only do it in hiding, and I can't really tell other people about it. These are kind of twisted negative beliefs, right? And I had to sort of work on those and overcome them or get them out of my system before I felt like I could give myself a full permission to play the guitar. Even after that, the other thought that I had was that I really felt like in order to justify my desire to play the guitar, I had to be really good, and being good from people of my age meant playing like the 80s shred guitar gods and just be able to do this really fast licks, and that was the definition of a good guitar playing. And I was a failure for not being able to do that, and I was constantly forcing myself to play fast, and that contributed to me having an elbow problem. And these are it's outside the scope of this video in terms of how to overcome inner blocks and clear the path to to where you want to go. But the important thing to remember is that there usually is a mental cause of physical problems. I really do believe that. And that if you have developed the problem, it is well worth a while to sit down and think about, what are the thoughts, what are the conflict, what are the just negative beliefs that is somehow creating this situation. And then when you can sort of figure that out, then work on that blockage to clear the path, so that you feel like guitar playing is this fun, joyful thing that you can do freely. And when you're having the time of your life playing the guitar, you're just not as likely to develop these injuries and problems. So it's just something to think about while you're trying to figure out what to do with your physical self to improve this situation and to keep it in good condition, and not go back to the injury. Alright, so I hope you find this video helpful. I have the written version of the same thing on my website, so if you want written reference to the same information, just go visit me at arikoinuma.com. And that keep in mind that this is one man's experience, so if you are having serious issues, by all means go see a professional and get a professional help. And that I really hope that your condition improves and stays away, so that you can enjoy playing the guitar. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.